All right, so we're going to take a look at the app, and before that, real quick overview, because I do see at least 2 new names on there. Quick overview is SABER. Whole purpose of SABER is to minimize business disruptions by providing accurate and timely business status information to both governments as well as to other businesses to enable business-to-business collaboration. Whole goal is, with the big problem at the top, that the longer a business is out of business, the greater the chance of failure. By sharing that business status, we can influence government recovery priorities and get businesses back in business faster. The information from SABER and the food and fuels and pharmaceuticals and others fit into FEMA's lifelines. SABER has won awards in 2017, 2018, so we are on a flow of success here. And the way this all works that you're going to be seeing is fully automated connection into the SABER XchangeCore. Optional spreadsheets, and I'll show you the results of some of those. But the thing that we're going to focus on is the mobile app entry of information into SABER. And when it gets into SABER, any one of those 3 different ways, it comes out the other side in standardized formats that can be viewed by just about any other kind of technology, whether it's a portal, applications, whether it's geospatial tools like ArcGIS or Google Earth, other people's mobile apps, all of that, because the data is standardized, because the whole focus of SABER is data to share, we're able to provide that in those many, many different formats, which you'll see a couple of examples of today. One of the things that we, though, in creating the commercial SpotOnResponse app, which is given to SABER members, is to provide a mechanism for those who don't have any of those kinds of applications on the right, or who are specifically looking at businesses to be able to provide status, as well as to easily be able to have in the palm of your hand business-related situational awareness. So that combination of a mobile app and web application allows us to have many stores reporting back to a command center, individual government agencies reporting back to an emergency operations center, stores reporting into a business emergency operations center, and then all that gets bundled together and gets passed out as the SABER business status. Last time we were together, we talked about 5 different cases, and we're going to look at how each one of those cases operates when we're going through and using the tools. And the first case is no preparation at all. We're going to show you the mobile app and its ability to just simply say, here, I'm standing in front of this 7-Eleven, it happens to be closed, or this Target store, it's closed. Usually done by the store manager. There's a possibility this eventually evolves into some crowdsourcing, but that's not our goal right now. SABER's goal is to have authoritative information from people who we know are those company representatives. Second one, providing more information that we'll show you as part of the SABER business status form. Third one, someone doing lots of different lots of different stores drawn together. Fourth one, what happens if a company subscribes to SABER and installs all of its stores inside of the tool and is able to provide that information. And then lastly, the case where we have a, again, subscribed application, and it is the ability to go off and create that variety of different stores and pick them off of the app and be able to see them operate. So with that said, let's practice. And one of the things that we want to practice is the ability to get a set of information that is available for everyone to be able to share. And let's start out with that set of different techniques. And let me point you to one thing, and we've never used this before, but in the handout section in your little tab there, it says a handout. If you click on that, you'll be able to download the, what's it say, Spot On Response Guide for SABER. And that will help guide you through it. I'm going to be using that here as well to help guide the direction that we're going in. So I'll drag it up on the screen here. But you can download that as part of that, what did it say? Handouts. Yes, handouts. There's 1 of 5 there. Click on that and you're supposed to be able to pull the data right off of the screen. All right, so you should be sitting out there with the 2 different ways to use the mobile app if you've done both of the steps of using the web browser as well as the mobile app. And the first thing we want to focus on here is how you see things, viewing situational awareness from this map. And for that, we've got a couple of elements to that here. There are 2 different kinds of information. And let me just point out a couple of things. First one is that we got the map and then we got this list down at the bottom. And the frequently called the yellow list, but when things are in limited operations, or in this case a Macy's that's closed, they turn a different color. We have the ability to see who is with us, who's part of this team. And over here we've got an Ernie Dipko who's there. And here we've got Michael Reddig, who's part of the Shake and Fury exercise. Welcome, Michael. And let's see, who is this? Robert Crow. All right, good. Glad you could join us today. And other folks who are out there. So one of the first things is you see where your associates are. Secondly, we've got a couple of different kinds of information. The first of all, here you see with some of the icons here, some of them just have points, but there's a Walmart, and that Walmart has reported that it is closed in our simulation. So that's really, Walmart isn't really closed. It's a retail store. It's closed. It's got its address and some information here that we'll take a look at in more detail that is about the SABER business status problems. There are other ways to get at some of the information. Again, I mentioned some of them, the ones that come from SABER, that SpotOnResponse doesn't change or do anything with because they are coming from other organizations, and those other organizations are the truth of this. But then there are some that you will be creating, and you will have the option of making the kind of changes that we're going to see here. 7-Eleven, for example, I can see that one. I pull it up. I see details of that information. They're closed for minor flooding, cleanup underway. They lost some of their stock. Employees are inadequate for full service. They have some problems with utilities because there's water damage of some sort. That kind of information becomes available here in this details screen. Third element of this first topic that we're looking at here of how you look at things on SpotOnResponse. We've popped up, where we've looked at buttons, we popped up some of these icons, and let me just go back to that 7-Eleven and show you that that information also pops up as part of just clicking on the icon. So that's the way, if you're just a viewer, government agency, or want to look at the general situation, that's the way that you look at the information inside of SpotOnResponse. A couple more complicated ways that we'll take a look at later. Actually, as long as I'm here. Reports. If I want to take a look at that business status, 7-Eleven was the only one who filled out the business status report. but we have that business status information that was filled out there. You'd have a whole bunch of them, and you can sort these things. You can search. You can come up here and you can export this information in a lot of different formats. So if you're working as a company, working through a number of stores, you're able to grab that information in lots of different ways. So now let's come up and take a look at the first of those cases that we talked about. If you in fact have a mobile app, this is how this will work, and you'll also be able to do it on the web application with no advanced preparation. But let me show you this way. And what we've got, let's slide this over here right now. And what I've got is this person over here. His name, I believe, is Tom. And Tom walks outside, sees that there's a problem, says, I got to tell you that this store is closed. Automatically fills out the beginning of the report. It says, I've got a spot report here from Sears Holdings, Tom Kinsel. And when I click on closed, it represents that as closed. Now, when I click in here, touch with my finger, touch in here, I could go off and type things. This is something, but instead I'm going to come down here and use the capabilities of all your phones to capture your voice and dictate information directly into the spot report, period. So that quickly, I have a field observation from this guy at Sears Holdings that I am now going to just click and submit, and that is going to percolate over to our command center over here that we're going to call this. And wherever he is, wherever that Tom guy is, that's going to show up. And I know where here is, first of all, that Sears Holdings logo, closed, Tom Kinsel, and I'm going to scroll on here because I know Tom's in this area. And there's my Sears logo. Click on that. There's the closed Sears incident closed. This is the capabilities of all your phones to capture the same stuff that I dictated. And all that information that quickly is now on to SpotOnResponse, being shared back with those who are using SpotOnResponse. And at the same time, every 3 minutes, it's processed out of SpotOnResponse, out to XchangeCore, and then published out as a SABER source data. So this quick spot report that you're able to do with no preparation whatsoever. Just download the app, and that allows somebody, and let's talk about a business emergency operations center. You've got a big problem going on, an email with a link that says to all of your stores, download this app, walk outside of your building, and tell me what's happening. And they're able to do it. Click on Spot Report, click on Closed, send in the message, or click on Limited, or click on a Spot Report that just simply says, hey, everything's fine here. We don't have any problems. So that information, the ability to integrate it in with all this other information out here in the central U.S. that is part of the SABER information that is going on, is part of our ability to bring that information together in that first case that we were talking about here, where reporting a store closed, literally from the parking lot, no advanced preparation whatsoever. There is a question thing there, and I'm going to open it up so I'm glancing at it. So if any of you have any questions to ask, feel free to ask those questions, and then we'll jump in and take a look at it. So let's go look at the second one here, where I'm submitting a business status report. Again, no advanced preparation, but this is more detailed. This is that full set of information that you saw from 7-Eleven that you can do from your desktop or from your phone. And I'm just going to come in here to the status map over on this side that you're seeing. And you'll see this is the same. So I've got exactly the same information here. Connection. All right, my internet seems to be back. Hopefully that is indeed the case. And apologies, I lost you somehow or another. Okay, so hopefully you're all still there and I'm back. So let's come in here. Let's do it over here on this side. I got my business status. I am going to the information that you saw in 7-Eleven. We're going to pretend that we are going to be a food store, and the name is going to be Smith Food. And the situation exists. I can describe. We are going to be closed today, but we are going to reopen tomorrow. And I'm going to explain that I have a structure that needs some repairs. My employees can't get to work. I don't have any utility problems, but there is some road debris around there. And we're probably not going to do any check cashing tomorrow. So I'm going to do that. I got enough supplies though. Simply stating that, I'm going to get a record that pops up here showing that we have added that information. The Smith Food is over there. You see that shown up there. You see the Smith Food icon there. If I click on it, there's my Smith Food information that has just come in. Now again, no preparation at all. I am sitting here and I'm Smith Food. I walked outside and I said, you know what, I can provide some more information than just my open closed. So now I'm going into the more detailed scenario, and Smith Food is right down here. So you're seeing it percolate through the entire network. And everybody said they can't hear. Could somebody tell me that you can hear in that question thing? I'm assuming you're back online. It's okay. Thank you, Moosey. And apologize, Moosey, for not getting back to you last week when you asked your question. So we've now worked our way through two of the scenarios. First one, a real quick, I'm open, I'm closed, and here's a few words about it. Second one is, I've never seen this thing before. I've been told to download it by somebody, and I am able to go in with touching the map, touching the green plus, creating a business status, and filling out that form that quickly. So we've got those two different ways for no preparation whatsoever if you were to pass this out. There's a third way that is similar to what we just saw, but you noticed in both of those last cases, they showed up where my icon was because it was using the GPS on either, in this case, on the phone or on the computer or on the phone. We're now going to go and show how somebody can report many different stores being closed, like a district manager of a store or a city that has its member locations, and they get a call and they will do something like this. I'm going to be over here. I'm going to say, you know what I have here, well, let's go someplace where you can easily see it. Charlottesville, how about that? All right. I've got a store that is over here in Charlottesville, and what I need to do is set the location of that place in Charlottesville. If I have the latitude and longitude, you can see down at the bottom, I could put the latitude and longitude in. Much better to find, I'll just do Charlottesville. Virginia, and if I had a street address, if I knew anything in Charlottesville, I would do that. Click lookup. It automatically goes in, moves me to Charlottesville, adjusts the latitude and longitude correctly, and that's now going to be my artificial location. Let me explain to you what's valuable about artificial locations. The thing that you're seeing where I want to say, okay, I've got a guy on the phone here. He doesn't have a computer. What I can do is become his entry point into the system. And in the Charlottesville place, I'm going to say, okay, I've got my business status. What are you? You are a convenience store, and the name is going to be Wawa. And situation, you're telling me you're going to have to close because of evacuation. And you don't know when that's going to be, but let's say that hopefully you're back in 2 days. Some more comments. Why is that happening? The only thing I'm going to have to check over here is evacuation was ordered. And that's going to answer all the questions that I have that are critical to this person here in Charlottesville. I'm picking up the next phone. I'm going to say, and you see, there's the Wawa just showed up there where I was. I'm picking up the next phone. And this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently because I happen to know a little bit about this area. So I'm going to pick up this business status. I'm going to make this pick any kind of a store. Let's make this a hotel, and it is, I don't know what, Hilton. Situation, again, I can put a few words in here. And it is going to have limited operations going on. Don't have any, well, let's give it a reopening date in a couple days. Problems, let's pick it. They don't have enough employees to open up. But now we got the location over here. So this is a different way of doing it. It has given me the location where I physically was, that set location. But now I can go in here and I can add shapes, which include a point, circles, polygons, lines, squares, and a whole bunch of different colors. So what I'm just going to do is, because I'm now sitting here and talking to this guy on the phone on Culpeper, I'm going to do that. I'm going to save that. And now that location is going to be in Culpeper. So when we see that Hilton pop up, it's going to show up somewhere over here in Culpeper. There you go. There's the Hilton that has popped up. So sitting in my desk, I can go off and manage these stores, closures. They could be schools. They could obviously, I hope you're envisioning that these things can be anything that you want to manage the status of. So we've got that third case then. that we've done where somebody reports many different things, stores or whatever. That could be a company and he's doing for the whole district. It could be a state doing it for all the stores in theirs. But if that would be a task that someone would have to do because they have all the individual stores would have to be entered. Now, the first time they're entered is the last time you're going to have to enter them, because I can take this Hilton and I'll say, let's keep that Hilton, and we will be able to then never have to enter that one again. So think if you've got 25 big stores that you want to manage, you get 3 small ones that call up and say, here's this. You can add those 3 on the fly in the way that I just showed you. So now let's take a look at this next item, which is when you have worked in advance through working through SABER or a subscription to SpotOnResponse, you get to do things with the business that you don't normally have a chance to do. So let me use one of these already. And actually what I'm going to do is switch over. Should I do that one and the other one? I'm going to say that I have, in fact, previously entered this Hilton. And this Hilton, I can now come in here and say this quickly. Okay, I see my Hilton. It gives me driving directions to that Hilton. And I can come in here, update the status, make this one closed, save my changes. And the Hilton, if you notice down here, says it is a closed Hilton. The pop-up says it is a closed Hilton. And if this were a different color, it would have turned a different color icon. And let me show you some of those. We've got the, what do we have? There must be one out here. Macy's. Yeah, we're going to look at Macy's in a minute. Where is this? This Macy's is at DuPont. So we're going to come down here into Washington, D.C., and let's expose this out here. And no, that's a limited Macy's. I want to close Macy's. Where's my closed Macy's? Let's come up here. Lake Sussex Success. It's someplace out here in New York, I think. Yes, there we go. But anyhow, there you're seeing the closed Macy's has turned gray. So you've got grays, you've got a yellowish red for a limited, and then the regular colors of the icons. So you're able to see 3 different locations or 3 different ways to see a status of any given location. So with that process where I have previously entered all this information, I can do my status reporting as quickly as click, change the status, and it then is part of the shared information that exists out there. A couple words on getting that information in. A spreadsheet, you can push all that information in SpotOnResponse, never have to type anything. You could sit somebody down and do the type of entry that I showed you before, but getting information in there is a couple of different ways that you can accomplish that. So now let's take a look at the last of these ways, which is the same thing. I've done the work in advance. I have put all of my stores in place. And what I'm going to do here now is going to come in here and let's go back here. And I'm going to change this person from being Tom at Sears. And this is something you'll never have to do once you've set up in your app. Macy's Tom. Going to log him in. And now we've got a different view of what's going on. We're now Macy's, the corporate Macy's information. And that corporate Macy's information, I think this is set up for like the region or something like that, or actually I set this for fairly big 508 Macy's stores across the country, which will give me an opportunity to do one thing that I want to show you, and that is, we'll do that later. You can set an area of interest. When you came in, it was preset for 100. I said do for 3,000. If you set it for 10 miles and that's your total jurisdiction, you're only going to see the Macy's or other stores that show up within those 10 miles. So you've got that ability to set an area of interest. Here, I've got all these Macy's stores, hundreds of them floating around out there on my phone, and I could go anywhere that I want to. But my real reason for showing you that is to show you the speed with which we have this new status information if I have gone to the trouble of adding my stores in advance. And for that, it's called My Status. It's a site status. And here are all those Macy's stores. So if I want to find, well, let's find one in Philadelphia, since I know where Philadelphia is. Pops up. Green is no status at all. Limited closed. Let's make one closed. Suburban Square, I think, is also up in the Pennsylvania area, so I'm going to close that one. Let's close a few of them. Princeton, that's in sort of that same general area. We'll be able to look at it on the map. So I now have 3 Macy's stores that have been closed by a district manager on his or her phone, driving into work, getting calls in from people saying, hey, this has been closed. Now, ideally, every Macy's store manager would have their own mobile app and be doing this. And by the way, if I'm a manager and my site is only a single one of these, that's all I see. If I'm a district manager, I've got 20 stores, I'm going to see those 20 stores. Here it's set up, and as you saw, I pulled in all those 508 stores because the way it was set up. So when that happens, when I change those to red over here as part of Macy's, what it's doing is working its way through the system, and it is going out to, because Macy's isn't sharing their information in the SpotOnResponse app. It's going out to that XchangeCore information sharing software, and then coming to SABER, which is how you get privacy. If I want to own everything that's inside of my SABER SpotOnResponse system, that's fine. I own it. I only share what I want to share with SABER or other organizations. So let's see whether, yes, there's this Lake Sussex one has come through, and these the refresh cycle goes through in about 3 minutes or so. And let's see whether we picked up any other ones here in that Philadelphia area. No, nothing's come through yet, but no, that was the one that was already closed. So we'll watch this over the next couple of minutes as I open it up for questions, because we've been now through these 5 different use cases, and I'm just going to pull them up again and give you a quick highlight of them. We were a single person at a store, no preparation, quickly used the spot report to close the store. Boom. Somebody could download the app and have their store closed in 3 minutes. Second one is, okay, it's that same person running a store or school or a business or whatever it is that says, okay, I got a few more minutes here. Let me tell you what my problem is, because it's really where we want to get. If I know there are more stores with problems out there with electricity or road supplies or whatever all those things were that we looked at, I, as government, am going to be able to focus my priorities on getting these stores back in business. So got a few more minutes. Let's send the good information. And if you notice, we just got those stores, those Macy's that we closed over here a minute ago. They seem to be popping up there. Yeah, there's the Macy's in Philadelphia that closed. So that was pretty reasonable time to share that information with everybody in SpotOnResponse, and we'll take a look in a minute at another application that's here. Third case was an EOC manager or a district manager or even a business emergency operations center. Again, no preparation, but you can go in there and create several stores by artificially moving your location around or dropping those pins off in the locations where their stores are. Fourth case is working in advance, a company that has subscribed either through SABER or directly with SpotOnResponse to have all those stores saved away that you can use every day. And that's the case that we have over here. We've got all these Macy's stores, and those are available for things that don't rise to the level of a major emergency, but it's a pipe break, and every other Macy's store can know that there's a pipe broken in one store. Headquarters knows there's a pipe broken in one store. And then the last one is that same scenario with the preparations done in advance. But now I don't need to have the web browser. I can do everything up on my mobile app and be opening and closing stores as we move through the day on any of those cases. And here the equivalent of those dots, we've got Macy's there, Macy's there, and Macy's there, all of them with their little gray Macy's logo closed. So to draw this to a close, let me now, I've referenced SABER a few times, and the fact that SABER is data. Everything we're doing here is just finding a better way to get data. And what we've got is the Central United States Earthquake Consortium's RISP, Information Sharing Portal, Regional Information Sharing Portal that subscribes to the SABER data. You can see in that earthquake area, we've got Pizza Hut's closed and we've got Lowe's closed, and we had those Macy's that we had simulated out here in the central U.S. They don't have the ones we just closed because they don't care. It's the central United States. I don't care whether there's a Macy's that is closed in Philadelphia. So again, I can limit my geography both in putting the information in and pulling the information out, not only in the SpotOnResponse tool, but in all these other tools. And this is an ArcGIS online set of tools. Information goes into Google Earth, goes into WebEOC, goes into any number of programs because of the clean, standardized formats that the data comes out of SABER and is able to be shared to everybody. So with that, let me pop this up again one more time and come off here. Just to remind of two things. One, mobile app doesn't change the basic principles. There's still the spreadsheet. There's still the automated format to be able to provide the information in from businesses or from a state. I mean, the state of Maryland provides the spreadsheet upload for all of their business emergency operations center businesses. The mobile app allow members to do their own input, and there's 5 different scenarios that we did there. But no matter how you're getting the information in there, it's SABER and that XchangeCore technology in the background that do all the heavy lifting, translate and transform all those different formats of information into a way to get the data out that becomes freely available in, and if you follow the technologies, GeoRSS, KML, GeoJSON, XML, NEAM conformant JSON, all those different formats, and together those encompass just about anything that anybody would need to be able to use the SABER data. So with that, let me, what do you have? One more thing here. Yes, invite you to become the SABER member, join in the exercise, and open it up for questions at this point. And I can do that both by, both by telling you that attendees will have full audio control and may unmute yourself at any time is what this instruction is, or you can write a question if you have a question about any of these different scenarios that we were showing there. And actually, let me go back there and let's pull there. Whoop, where'd it go? This one. There we go. To remind you of those different formats that we were, or different ways in which we're using the combination of the mobile app and the web application with SABER in the background to share it out to everybody else. Questions, thoughts, either write them down or unmute yourself, and you're supposed to be able to talk according to this machine here. Let's see, Joseph, how I get a copy of the presentation? Yes, we record all these. I can send you a copy of the slideshow right away, but we record it so you can go back and actually look at the live stuff, and that should be announced in the next newsletter, which will come out before our June 4th meeting. So some point in the next few days, and I'll try to remember that it usually gets edited. I usually get the edited version of it back within a day or so, and I'll try and remember to shoot you a link to it, Joe. Okay, other questions? No, then please go ahead and pull down the SpotOnResponse guide, which I was using there, and invite your friends to come and go ahead and enroll in SABER so that you can participate in the exercise. And again, if you're in California, you can play in the Central United States earthquake by going to an artificial location, clicking a picture out of Google Street Maps, saying this is what I just saw here, adding it to SpotOnResponse mobile app or the web application, and then others across the network in SABER will see that location. It's a store, it's a house, it's whatever it is, as a simulated problem in that earthquake area. So you can really get and contribute a lot to the earthquake play. Any final thoughts or comments from anybody? Raise your hand or ask the question or unmute yourself. Then thank you very much for your time and attention. Feel free to continue to play with the mobile app and the web application. And on June 4th, we have a live from Shaken Fury, and I'm going to invite you at that time to join in, log in with the app, and you can be part of that live from the Shaken Fury webinar. Thanks very much, everybody.